Welcome back. Today we've got some incredible Elf on the Shelf sightings to share with you, from sneaky moments to jaw-dropping tricks. You won't believe what these elves have been up to. Like, subscribe, and let's jump in. Have you ever seen spooky elves on the shelf? This one will undoubtedly frighten you because this clip was recorded right after Halloween, and I guess one of the elves decided to visit his family very early before Christmas and have some fun with Halloween props. Our next elf on the shelf caught on camera shows the elf trying to find the right position for it to either sit or rest. The elf is seen moving towards the sink before moving away, and then tries to rest on the counter before changing its mind again, and that must have been why it was spotted on the camera that was recording its every movement. Now we have a clip of an evil elf on the shelf. A woman asked these two YouTubers for help because she swore that her elf on the shelf had turned evil, so they set up multiple security cameras around her house and waited until the elf started moving, and when it did, it started causing absolute mayhem. It shoves things off the counter, plays with the light switch, and even uses dark magic to teleport into the woman's bedroom, where then it peeks its head out of the wardrobe.
Sure. Yeah, guys, this elf on the shelf is corrupt.
I've noticed that these elves love teleporting back and forth a lot. This first clip shows elves named Marshmallow and Mocha chilling in the wreath, and then you can see them glittering all around. They were caught at 4 in the morning, and you can see the first teleportation. The owner of the footage claims to have seen 2 elves teleporting back and forth, possibly reporting to Santa. Let's see more of the satisfying teleportation. They caught the elves not only moving and flying, but also talking and laughing with the hamsters. They only could record this event with a high-tech camera because normal cameras usually can't capture the magic of elves, so it's a really rare clip. For this short clip, we have footage of a security camera at a garage. It captured an elf who entered the garage, turned on the lights, and looked straight at the camera. The elf was probably planning to do something more, but it noticed the camera and escaped the scene. This guy is aware that something is going on late at night and that their elf was up to something, so he installed a concealed camera to catch this mischievous elf. Let's take a look at what he's got. Alright, so it enters the room, disappears behind the table, and starts flying across the room. This elf is definitely using elf magic, but following this performance, he goes to the bedroom where the man is sleeping, and well, let's just take a look at what the elf ends up doing. Now we have a clip of this elf on the shelf seemingly sitting still on the kitchen counter, but soon enough it starts moving its eyes. You can clearly see that the elf is looking around to see if it's alone in the room and whether he can start moving freely. This clip shows an elf which was caught getting stuck inside a dog feeder. You can see its tiny legs sticking out, and it's super lucky that the dog didn't bite them off. Later on in the clip, you'll see the entire elf behind the glass, but the craziest part is when it starts talking and explaining how it ended up getting stuck there, so let's check it out.
An elf on the shelf. Wait, buddy? Buddy, are you okay in there?
Well, I'm doing all right, but the puppy, she keeps licking my feet. Well, Zach put me inside here for some reason, and it smells like dog treats. Not so tasty. I wish it was cookies instead. But yeah, Zach locked me in. Can you help save me, please?
In this clip, we can see a chase between a cat and an elf on the shelf, and it gets really close until the elf decides to use its magic and fly upward to avoid the curious cat. Not all cats are friendly to elves, so it was probably a good decision to make. This girl discovered that one of her elves on the shelf was pregnant, and eventually the elf gave birth to baby twins. One of the babies is even wearing green clothes, and the other wears traditional red elves. We can only wonder why this is the case, and no one even knows how or why these elves got pregnant, but it's an amazing clip, so let's check it out.
Are you allowed to touch elf babies?
I think so.
Oh, so we have a boy and a girl. But they both have eyelashes. Everyone has eyelashes.
Is that true?
Even boys have eyelashes.
They do?
Yes. Go look at Dad.
For this clip, we have a shy elf on the shelf who clearly wants to start moving, but it knows that it's sitting right in front of the camera, so it doesn't move much, but slowly wiggles around in its place before it falls down on its side. next, we have a clip of this girl setting up a camera right in front of an elf who's sitting right under the Christmas tree. As soon as the girl leaves the room, the elf uses magic to teleport out of sight, only to reappear right in front of the camera. The elf starts moving and leaves the frame before returning right in front of it shortly after. What a wonderful clip of an elf on the shelf moving. Now we have a clip where this woman tricked her elf into moving. She told him that she was leaving the room, but little did the elf know that there was a hidden camera right in front of it. As the woman left the room, the elf started moving and jumping off the cabinet, leaving a magical trail behind itself. While this is one of the shortest clips on the list, the surprise it packs will give you thrills. Not only did we get to see an elf that decorates, but we also got an elf on the shelf that would go into hiding immediately rather than admire its own work. This clip features these elves on the shelf sitting harmlessly on the floor, but it's probably one of the creepiest clips of elves on the shelf we've ever seen. It just looked like two elves rocking back and forth, which is already creepy enough, ended on a surprising note, so let's check it out. In this classic elf on the shelf clip, we can see the elf slowly start moving around, but before it looks around to make sure no one can see it, it takes off. Clips like this show that the elf on the shelf can definitely come to life and move on their own, but only if no one's watching them. This clip isn't anything new, but a moving elf is still fascinating to watch. Did you notice the elf's movement near the door? According to the video's owner, he was astonished when he saw the clip recorded on a surveillance camera, and then he was super happy about his decision to place it there. If you thought your cookies were safe in a cookie jar, then you might want to rethink your belief after watching this clip. So basically, a kid woke up to see their elf on the shelf sitting next to several cookies that has to be taken out of the cookie jar in the kitchen. The elf had even eaten some, as the crumbs indicate. Luckily, the elf left some for the kids to share. This little girl was soundly asleep, probably dreaming of Santa's gifts. The surveillance camera catches a glimpse of an elf peeking at her multiple times. It had multiple attempts to come near her, bouncing all over. The father caught the elf sleeping beside the little kid and thought that he saw the elf smile. What a wholesome clip. We have a clip of this guy having dinner with his elf, and as he finishes eating, he stood up and left the room, but unbeknownst to the elf, his owner left a hidden camera right in front of the elf. The elf ends up getting captured by a camera and coming to life and moving around. It even peeks into the cup to see what the owner was drinking. These two mischievous elves were spotted having some fun with the camera. They were undoubtedly drawn to the shining item that seemed to be staring right at them. The second elf was initially camera shy, and the other occasionally strikes a pose. Elves are really something else. The other elf is in the back, beginning to move as well. It's just unbelievable. You can't just tell me that these aren't real. For this short clip, we have an elf who was caught walking on the sleeping dog. This elf likely wanted to play with its furry friend, and in turn, it got caught moving. What a marvelous sighting. The home security camera managed to capture something incredible for the elf on the shelf owners. In this clip, the elf on the shelf is captured flying all over the place, so let's check it out. So all of us know that elves are super talented and they can do many different things and also use magic, which makes many things much easier for them than it would be for us humans. However, this elf was captured working at a mini construction site as if he was trying to build something. The elf is even wearing a safety helmet instead of the usual Christmas hat, so we can only wonder what the elf was building. So this mom set up some security cameras at the start of December because she knew that her children's elves on the shelf would like to roam around the house and do some bad stuff. In this clip, you can see them captured scooting around the house late at night, but they do something crazy at the end, so keep on watching.
In this clip, a hidden camera caught an elf on the shelf moving, but not just that, the elf itself was also seen flying around the house on what seemed to be a magical skateboard before finally finding a place to rest. This is just amazing to see, don't you think? If you believe you've seen it all, this clip might convince you that you haven't seen anything when it comes to elves on the shelf caught on camera. This clip shows an elf on the shelf wearing a piece of clothing you'll never believe is possible for an elf to wear, so watch carefully. We know that an elf on the shelf can be crazy at times, but in this clip we have two elves playing with jelly as they pour it into a bowl. While one stirs the bowl, the other one continues to add water inside the bowl full of red jellies. These elves on the shelf seem to be pretty playful as they embark on their unhealthy cooking agenda. As one elf places an empty packet on the other elf's head, they seem to be having the time of their life in this kitchen. We can also see how one elf dips the other elf into the red jelly bowl like a French fry being dipped into ketchup. This is just super amazing to see.
This clip captured an elf on the shelf who's showing us around the house as if he was a real estate agent. This elf is just restless and is moving all around the place seemingly without a purpose, and even goes to the balcony to sit on a chair, but for a moment until he started moving again. Let's check it out. In this clip, the elf on the shelf was caught moving towards the sleeping dog, and at first it seems like the elf was just having fun and dancing around the dog, but then the elf turns to its furry friend with a treat.
Elf on the shelf really loves standing and clinging onto Christmas trees, so it's not a surprise that this elf on the shelf decided to go for the family's Christmas tree even if he gets caught by the family's surveillance cameras. Let's see how this amazing elf gets his way to the top of the Christmas tree. Trust me, it's truly amazing.
Is there anywhere else that cannot turn into a hiding place? We don't think so. In this clip, a camera captured an elf on the shelf quietly entering the house, but after a while, the elf decided to enter at all costs and hide at a place that will surprise you, so keep on watching.
In the first clip, the family elf Carol was being asked by one of the family members to tell Santa they'd been really good that year, so they could receive gifts from Santa. But then came the unbelievable. Carol responded with what we think is a yes by moving her eyes in the other direction. Now, according to the family, Carol arrived in their home on December 1st, and just 7 days before Christmas, she moved her eyes, causing them to get scared, but no one should be afraid of elves. They're friendly creatures after all.
So this dad set up security cameras in his kid's room to capture the elf, and they were checking out the footage, which is just insane and I can't believe it's real. Do you think this elf on the shelf started moving around the camera, or is this fake? The elf on the shelf doesn't want to be seen moving when people are around, but in this case it did start moving while on camera. I don't see how you could fake this, but you can see that the elf on the shelf is moving out of the box, jumping out of the box, and roaming all over the room, and it's absolutely spectacular, so let's check it out. These elves must be used to being captured on camera, and they should be aware by now that people know that they can come to life. And back in the day, every elf was captured moving on camera would get fired, but maybe this year Santa has changed the North Pole laws or something like that, because this elf was sitting with his face turned away from the camera when out of nowhere it just turned around and looked straight into it. It's just insane, so let's check it out.
In a twisted turn of events, an elf on the shelf decided to reveal itself and got caught on camera moving, but only on its own terms, moving enough for the camera to capture its movement, but also hiding from the camera too. This clip shows an elf on the shelf who got inside of a toy BMW i8 coupe and started driving around the patio. The elf is not alone, as there's also a little dog sitting in the passenger seat. Now this is one of the most incredible elf on the shelf clips ever, because the elf must know that he's being recorded, but still chooses to continue driving around and having fun with his new furry friend.
You ain't seen this. Buddy and Needles are driving Lily around in the car. This is totally crazy. I've never seen this. I can't believe I'm seeing this with my own eyeballs. Whoa. Uh-oh. It looks like he got stuck. Are you gonna back it up, buddy? There you, oh, whoa. Look at you driving. I cannot believe this. This is crazy. Looks like Lily's having a fun time too.
In this clip, we can see an elf on the shelf moving right in front of a hidden camera, but not long after, the elves notice the camera and takes a closer look at it. Perhaps you can't find many cameras in the North Pole, and that's why this elf is super curious about such a device. Maybe it doesn't even know that it's being recorded, and that's why the elf doesn't hurry to escape being recorded.
After watching this clip, we've concluded that there couldn't be any other stranger elf on the shelf caught on camera clips on the internet. In this clip, an elf on the shelf was caught redecorating the kitchen of its owners, and it's not the kind of decoration you would ever expect to see anywhere. We think we just found the greatest elf prankster ever.
Now, this kid practically was informing his father that he did not believe in the elf on the shelf's existence, and we can't blame him, because these days many people don't believe in magical elves. Anyways, this kid was telling his father that he doesn't believe it, and he has no idea what he was talking about. When he returned to his room, an elf on the shelf actually emerged and began flying around, and then the elf on the shelf began to perform various additional actions. Now, obviously, it's just flying around the house and flying around his room, but something crazier happens at the end of the clip, so stay tuned for that.
Daddy? Daddy? That's weird.
What is it? What?
He moved!
Who?
The elf on the shelf!
This clip shows an elf who wanted Kellogg's cereal so bad that it literally dived right inside the box where it enjoyed eating cereal. For this short elf on the shelf caught moving clip, we have an elf who saw a camera rolling and decided to look straight into its lens. The elf shoves its face into the camera and quickly makes its exit. What a wonderful sight.
A mysterious elf chose midnight to fly around the dining room and got caught on camera in the process. While at first, it seemed the elf didn't notice the camera, the way it flew into hiding all of a sudden made us suspicious. So let's check it out.
This is probably one of the most confusing elf on the shelf caught on camera videos we've seen. While we're still trying to adjust elves on the shelf moving, now we have to see them create extra legs from sneakers to walk and run around the house. Confused? Check out the confusing clip for yourself. Maybe you'll figure it out. These two guys failed to catch their elf moving, so they had a genius idea of watching the elf moving next to their elf while recording it with a secret camera. Their plan worked out because their elf started moving and its eyes even changed color at the end of the clip. It's one of the most fascinating elf on the shelf caught moving clips ever, so let's enjoy it together.
We thought at the beginning the elves were like regular humans, but really, it really shows when an actual human's beside them, right?
The Wolf Pharaoh's tall. He's like 6'5".
Yeah, but I mean, nah, but compared to these guys, look at them. They look like little shrimps. It's like me versus like you or something.
Nick or Mike.
Dude, look how massive it is.
It looks awesome. Look at the it has like a speed.
Dude, that thing.
This elf on the shelf was sitting still, but as soon as its owner walked past it, the elf started moving. The elf moved a bit and laid down on the side because its owner walked past the shelf again. But as soon as the owner wasn't present, the elf started moving again. This little elf wanted to move so much, but unfortunately for him, his owner was right next to him, so he couldn't risk being seen. This clip shows two elves on the shelf potty training. Well, kinda, because it seems like the second elf has left her many gifts on the toilet seat and a note, which suggests that the elf isn't as much potty training as pranking her owner. At least elves poop candy, so this entire situation is not as bad as it could have been. Just imagine what could have been an alternate to that.
They're everywhere. Oh my. I have to say your outfit's looking mighty beautiful. Along with your eyeballs. Oh, look. She has a note for us. Hoo, you can't go. Oh, but I really gotta go. I have to go potty. What am I gonna
Now we have a clip of this one kid who decided to capture the elf on the shelf moving inside of his home. This is the first time this child has ever owned an elf on the shelf, so he was super excited and was really hyped to record him moving, so he turned on the camera at midnight and succeeded. The boy captured the elf peeking around the corner to check if the hallway is free to make an escape, and then he used his magical powers for something crazy at the end of the clip, so make sure to keep on watching.
For this short clip, we have an elf who's lying down on its side and shaking. One evening, the owner found their elf this way and it just kept shaking. We don't know whether the elf was ill or just messing with its owner, but it's pretty strange nonetheless. In this clip, we have a joyful elf on the shelf who, upon moving, climbed down the Christmas tree and walked up to the cat. The elf looked like it wanted to pet its furry friend, but the cat got super scared of the elf and walked away. It's likely that it's the first moving elf the cat has seen, so that's why it's scared of it. The elf tries walking up to the cat a few more times, but he never succeeds in petting it.
In this clip, an elf on the shelf was caught on camera moving, but where the other elves on the shelf clips usually have elves moving around with no destination in mind, this elf on the shelf has a purpose, and that's to find its fluffy friend. So let's check it out.
When this girl was sleeping one night, she woke up to strange noises coming from the living room, so she rushed downstairs to see what was going on, only to find herself in the middle of hundreds of elves. It's literally insane, and her elf on the shelf was also present in the middle of the gathering, so maybe it invited its friends over for a party or something like that. I'm really curious about what they were really talking about. Maybe they were just having fun, or there's some chance that they were planning something bad. Well, it's up to you guys to decide, so make sure to keep on watching until the end.
Oh my gosh. It is lots of elf on the shelf, and I mean lots of them.
A family chronicled the presence of the elf on the shelf, who usually comes to them and then goes back to the North Pole at the end of the year, hopefully to report good things about them to Santa. It would be a shame if the elf's report made its own owners end up on the naughty list. Nighttime is fun for elves on the shelf because they always think that they're alone and won't be caught, and the elf on the shelf in this clip knows how to make use of that time. Unfortunately, there's a hidden camera set up to capture its fun time, so we can say that the elf had failed in some sense, but it also succeeded making the day. For this elf, it's the 10th day it's spending at this family's house, and it was the day when it eventually got spotted moving on video by the dad. Take note of how he successfully captures the elf. First, he places the elf snacks to entice him to enter the room. Nothing appears to be moving at first, but then the elf flies into the room with a marker and greets us with a Merry Christmas. What a lovely elf. And after that, the elf walks away without even touching the elf snacks. It's most likely not as good as the snacks that it gets from Santa at the North Pole. This is one of the strangest elves on the shelves caught on camera clips. Rather than the owners of the elves setting up the camera themselves to catch their elves moving, the elves themselves decided to do the honor by filming themselves moving. The elves recorded this clip in the middle of the night when the owners were sleeping.
If there's one thing elves are good at, it's turning a situation around in their favor. When an elf on the shelf was caught moving on camera, it decided to turn the situation around and tease the camera instead.
Now we have an elf owner who set up a hidden camera in front of the cookie tray to attract his elf to the shelf, but as soon as he leaves the room, you can see his elf popping out from under the table, and as soon as the elf is about to steal one of the cookies, the owner returns into the room and the elf stops moving.
This elf is caught on tape for being so mischievous at night. She's wary of being caught at first, only to be caught later as she was captured on camera by flying midair. This happened twice, so keep an eye out for it.
So 2 weeks before Christmas, this dad caught their elf on the shelf just flying in the middle of the video, and he was recording. Actually, this dad and his family have a verified Elf on the Shelf YouTube channel that they captured their elf moving a few times, so it must be a real video, and what you're seeing has happened for real. It's about to get even crazier, so make sure to keep on watching until the end.